Hello and welcome to this edition of Garbage Time on UW-TV. I'm Luke Lamort, and this week I'm joined by Josh Kirore and Michael Hernan, and our job for the next 30 minutes is to simply talk sports. And let's begin. And Josh, since this is your first time on the show, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Josh. I'm a journalism major here at UW-Whitewater. It's my first semester as a journalism major, so just getting into it. And yeah, I love sports. My favorite sport is Formula One, so that's what I know the most about, and that's what I hope to bring more to the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, first time doing anything like this and just getting behind the journalism thing, so I'm happy to be here with you guys and talk sports.
Yeah, we greatly appreciate having you here, and we've not really talked too much about Formula One on this show, so I'm very excited to see the possibilities that lie with that. So with that said, now let's move on to our first topic of the day, and we have quite a bit of Olympic gold to be talking about. The Winter Olympics just wrapped up over in Italy, and we have a lot of different storylines following with the United States here. So what are some of the ones that caught your attention the most?
Yeah, so my opinion, I got Michaela Schifrin from the slalom. Like, her story and then what she has been doing is just remarkable. You know, she won the gold medal back in 2014. She won in 2018 as well. But then she didn't medal in 2022. But then in 2024 during the race, she stumbled and she crashed and she injured her abdomen and just a recovery process. Then 2 years later, eventually not only winning the gold medal, but pretty much winning it handily by winning it by 1.50 seconds. Is just remarkable. Winning her third gold, which I believe is probably going to be the most in U.S. women's or medalist history.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
it's just incredible stuff. Like the comeback that Schifrin has been.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
100%.
And I also want to talk about another woman that was absolutely dominant in her performance. Alyssa Liu is her. She simply is her. That performance she put on was absolutely incredible in what was otherwise a very tricky kind of stumble-heavy, literally, type of figure skating run for the U.S. She shows up, not a single care in the world, having made a massive comeback into figure skating after previously retired, and she's still, 20, really young, and absolutely dominates to where everyone now wants to be her. You know, people are asking for her haircut at the barbershop. They had to put out a warning to not try and copy some of her piercings. Like, everybody wants to be her, and that's what happens when you are just that good at what you do.
Yeah. Speaking of another woman that did amazing in the Olympics, snowboarding is what I was watching, but Chloe Kim specifically, she's just insane on the board. The things she can do, the air she gets, and how easy she makes things look, it's amazing. So I was watching her on her quest for a three-peat. She would have been the first snowboarder in Olympic history to get a three-peat. Unfortunately, she lost to Cui Gon, but you know, it was a good battle. We got to see some good things out of her, and I think we're going to see those two battling it out in the future and get some more epic events.
I agree with that. And the one other major storyline to touch on about the United States, you can't talk about this Winter Olympics and the United States without talking about ice hockey in general, both sides of the equation. I think a lot of people specifically think about men's, but that win over Canada is what this nation has needed for so long.
Build a statue for Connor Hellebuyck right now. Right now.
That was just absolutely incredible. So yeah, what a great performance by the U.S. at these Winter Olympics. So moving on from winter sports into more of the warmer weather ones, we're going to talk a bit about some baseball. And we got a very exciting first type of baseball event coming up. Not only is spring training started, but the World Baseball Classic is just on the horizon. We've got 20 different teams all vying for that coveted championship, and there's several powerhouses on the board this year. So who do we think has some of the best chances of taking it home?
You know, in my opinion, I don't think they're the favorite, but I have like 4 teams we're going to talk about all 4. But I'm going to start off here. I like this team, Venezuela. First of all, you look at their catchers, William Contreras and Salvador Perez.
That's pretty good.
Those were the 2 all-star starters 2 years ago, and Contreras kind of had a down year a little bit last year, but he then picked it up in the second half of the year, had some great playoff moments as well. And then Salvi Perez.
I mean, what do you want to say about him? It's literally Salvador Perez.
He's been there, done that. He's been everywhere. And then in the infielders, you know, you got guys like Luis Arias, Wilson Contreras, who's the first base, Michael Garcia, who is one of the most underrated players on the Royals. Andres Jimenez is a good glove.
Yeah.
Ezequiel Tovar is a good young stud. And even Gleyber Torres and Eugenio Suarez. And then that outfielder core, man. Jackson Chourio, Ronald Acuna Jr., and Wilyer Abreu.
That is pretty good.
Those 3 are scary.
That is dangerous.
And those are mainly the hitters. But then you also got pitchers like Eduardo Rodriguez, who's a solid starter there. Daniel Palencia, who is a very good closer as well. Ranger Suarez is on that roster too. So a bunch of little bit talents there for Team Venezuela.
Yeah,
they're running deep this year.
They really are. It's just a question of the pitching depth. But if they got it, I think they're a dark horse for sure. Josh, what was on your mind? I know you had a couple in mind.
Yeah, so for me, Japan is the powerhouse team for me.
They are.
I mean, Shohei Ohtani, it's hard to argue against a guy like him.
You can't.
Arguably the best in the world. Yeah. So, so Japan's my powerhouse, but the team to watch is a little different. I've got the Dominican Republic.
Eyes on them for sure.
I think they have an insane amount of talent coming to play for them this year. And after what happened in 2023, I think they're coming with a chip on their shoulder after not making it out of the group stage.
Oh, yeah.
So I think the combination of their talent and that extra fire they have under them, I think they're going to be a dangerous team to see in this tournament.
I agree, but I still think the actual elephant in the room is always going to lie with the United States.
Yeah.
This roster is out of this entire world. I saw the last roster 2023 and I thought, wow, this is an awesome All-Star roster. You compare it to this year, it's not even in the same galaxy.
Nope.
It is just absolutely absurd what they put together. And I expected the hitting to be good again. You were expecting to see all the All-Star guys that want to play for their country now that they won in 2017, always wanting to be a part of this team. But now that they actually have the pitching depth, every single other team needs to be terrified. You have about 8 different All-Star starters on this roster. And the best closer in the game, and just about everything you could ask for. And I'm more excited than anybody because I'm going to be able to be there to see it. I'm going to be there, yeah. I'm going to be there the first 2 games of pool play. I'm going to see the United States play Brazil and play Britain. And yeah, I mean, excitement is not even the right word to sum up every single emotion going through my head. But
yeah, the biggest question about this U.S. team: can they take down Japan?
Oh,
they could have failed
it's a question.
Failed to in 2023.
But
they do it this year.
Ohtani will not be pitching. He will
won't.
not be on the mound. That was their championship game pitcher. He's not there. Now, do you have Yamamoto? Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Do you have a couple other starters? Yes, you do.
Hiromi Ito is pitching too for them.
He
yeah,
is.
They have
It's not a question of, do they have most of the strength and the depth, but now that the United States has that top level pitching, I think they can go all the way. I think they could go all the way twice if they really wanted. So, I mean, it's just a question of who's going to be starting when, because, Tarek Skubal specified he's only making one start. It's going to be in pool play. He'll be done, no more. But I think Paul Skeens, since he signed on so early, is probably going to be there the whole time.
I think so, yeah.
So I think this United States team is the one to beat, even for the defending champs, which you don't say that often. But I think that's what's going to happen in this case scenario. But there's a lot of teams to keep your eye on in that one. And I'm sure we'll talk about it more in the future as it happens. So moving on from the pro leagues now to college baseball, a lot has been happening. The Warhawks, though, they had a little bit of a rough start to this season, going 1-3 in their games against Trinity, dropping down in the rankings from the defending champs and number 1 seed down to 6. What are we thinking about this team now as we enter the early phases of the season?
I think it's a slow start. Is it kind of expected, after losing a lot of your seniors from last year's squad? And I don't think anything is going to compare to last year's squad. That was a machine, a well-oiled machine last year. So yeah, it's going to be tough, and opening up your season against one of the best teams, against a top 10 team in the nation.
Yeah,
it's definitely going to be tough. You got a lot of incoming transfers, a lot of freshmen there and there, but this team's got 16 juniors, which is crazy.
That is a lot.
Which is crazy to me, but. Looking at this, you kind of expected this. I do think they're going to get better throughout the season, definitely. But, this team, of course, with losing a lot from last year's championship team, I think they'll still be a contender this year, but they're going to experience a lot of growing pains at the beginning of the season. But it's going to depend. How will they do at the end of the season?
That is definitely what matters. And, I mean, baseball is a streaky sport. And streaks go long. It's a marathon sport. So you can start off cold and you can pull out just fine. So I think that maybe what this is a case of, could it be indicative of something else entirely possible? But I think what you said is absolutely right. This is a team that's going through some growing pains. And even though they have a lot of the pieces in place, they're still looking to replace a lot of the things that they lost or went up to Division I, anything like that. So there's a lot of pieces on the table moving around right now.
Yeah, I think if they do want to be that team from 2025 again, or finish like that team did, it's a tall task to ask. They lost a lot of seniors, and that's the experience, that's the know-how. But I think for this team, it's going to be important to have short-term memory, especially after these first games. It's going to be about short-term memory. Forget it and focus on the next. So going down to Florida, it'll just be about consistency and getting back what they didn't have in the first.
Yeah. And that's all you can do. But looking at the rest of the college baseball world, a lot of stuff happening in D1 as well. There were some very fascinating upsets in games that happened very recently. So any on the top of your mind right now?
Yeah, so right now, I mean, UT Arlington, I mean, what they did against TCU was kind of impressive in my eyes. They did beat the 7th ranked team in the nation, 11-8, kind of this in-state, I don't know if say rivalry, in-state matchup here. UT Arlington, they got out to a 9-0 run, which is incredible. But then you saw TCU scored 7 in a row. You're just thinking, oh, TCU, it's classic college baseball.
Right.
TCU's going to come back in this, and they're going to eventually win. They're going to escape. No. UT Arlington actually was able to lock down for the last 4 innings and win this ball game 11-8. But look at these players though. Harold Lasuente and Preston Knott had great days for the Mavericks here. 3 for 5. 3 hits total. That's pretty good performance. 2 RBIs for Knott, and then 1 for La Resuente. And then meanwhile, the leading guy here was Zenon McAfee, who had 3 RBIs on the day. So this hitting core looks very prominent for UT Arlington.
Man.
They definitely look like contenders to maybe make an NCAA tournament run, especially with this win against a strong TCU team.
Yeah, that's true. And I just saw it looking through all the results on my phone, looking for a game to latch onto them, and I had to do a double take. You're telling me unranked Illinois beats number 6 ranked Coastal Carolina 14-5? What are we doing here? You know, I understand that baseball is a sport where one team can beat the other on literally any given day. You know, favorites and that kind of stuff don't necessarily matter, but you don't expect that level of a blowout against that good of a team. And you could say it's early season, but I don't know, man.
And plus, they lost to Charleston earlier this week.
That is true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Looking ugly down there.
It's just an odd little trend. I don't. You better hope that kind of thing doesn't continue. Like I said, it's a streaky sport, but I don't know.
Yeah, for me, I was scrolling through the games, and I saw unranked Cincinnati upsets number 9 Auburn in a 8-0 win.
Ooh.
So yeah, I saw that 0, and I was like, that's. I almost picked Coastal Carolina, but I had to go with the donut here.
Absolutely. So, with that said, let's take a short break, and when we return, we'll sort through our remaining sports garbage right after this. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the show. Josh, let's take a look at some highlights from this last game here. What a performance by the UW-TV staff in this one.
Absolutely. Look at this clip. Bree is going to signal for Ryan to cut to camera 2, but instead Ryan's going to cut to 3, and that's where things might take a turn. But hold on a second here. Just when you think it's over, Bree makes the split-second decision and reaches over Ryan to cut to camera 2 herself.
And the truck goes wild. Once again, the UW-TV staff delivers.
You can see it. His potential, that is. You see it even when he may not. You see that the things that spark his interest today will in time ignite the things he pursues tomorrow. And ultimately, help him reach new heights. All he needs now is a way to make it happen. We are the universities of Wisconsin. 13 universities, unlimited opportunity.
Here at UW-Whitewater Intramural Sports, we have a motto: a sport for everyone and everyone in a sport.
Come on! Stepped it anyways. Oh, she got that off, and they're gonna count it.
Had a blast. Always have fun at intramurals.
Every day we strive to go above and beyond that goal by providing healthy exercise, promoting leisure education, and giving students that competitive atmosphere they are looking for.
Yes! Yes!
It's exciting. Brings me back to those high school days with Friday Night Lights.
With our 25 different intramural sports offered, we guarantee that we have a sport for you. Go to our website and find your sport today.
Welcome back to Garbage Time on UWW-TV. Let's continue with more sports, and next we're going to be talking about the Whitewater basketball team finally clinching the WIAC regular season championship for the first time since 2015. Fellas, it's been a pretty good season.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, like, this conference overall has just been parity. Like, I believe UW-Whitewater won this conference, the regular season title, with 4 losses. Like, usually, that is parity right there. Like, you think of, like, this Whitewater team, how they start off conference play, you know, it looked like a little struggle, but then they started getting going.
Yeah.
But what I'm very impressed about, of course, Colin Madsen averaging 18 points per game. I thought he kind of slowed down when conference play got started. But the guy that impressed me most this conference play, Luke Berra. He's just been phenomenal. He can hit the three-point shot. I mean, he plays solid defense as well. He's just been an electric scorer here in this WIAC. And then Isaac Fergus is just a floor general, and he's basically the heart and soul of this team.
Yeah.
He's basically one of the main reasons why. Those 3 right there are basically main reasons why this Warhawks are your WIAC regular season champs.
Oh, yeah.
And those are the kind of guys that you want on the floor. You know, every time you go out there, and I think they've got wind at their backs right now. This is the kind of momentum you want entering, postseason play. So when they have the WIAC tournament coming up pretty soon, before they can have any chance of going to nationals like they did a couple years ago, ahead of them is either going to be UW-Stout or UW-Platteville. Is there either team of those that you might prefer into those matchups, or does it matter?
Honestly, I would prefer UW-Stout since they're like the 6th seed, of course.
Okay.
But, but looking at these two, like, honestly, it could be any given day in the WIAC. Like, you never truly know. Like,
Yeah,
of course, with Whitewater's 4 conference losses, like, parity happens. But at the end of the day, Whitewater does get home court. That will help as well.
Yes.
But even though I prefer Stout, these two are going to be tough matchups overall, because WIAC basketball is always tough, hard, and physical basketball.
Yeah,
for sure.
You are always going to have to take a we call ice baths. You're gonna have to take one of those after every game here in this conference.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for me, actually, the same guys impressed me. Colin Madsen, he's just had a crazy, consistent season, too. I mean, averaging 18, leading the team in scoring. But yeah, Luke Barra, insane. The last 3 games, he's just found his form, it seems like. He's averaging 15.3 points over the last 3 games, and he's been deadly from beyond the arc. So if those 2 guys can keep up that momentum, and the rest of the team can keep doing what they've been doing all season, playing good, consistent team basketball, I think this team can go really far.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it right there. Consistency. That is the key right now, and it also helps to have a hot streak heading into this kind of moment right now. But as long as there's not too much let up in between, since you got like that bye round, as long as they keep the momentum going, I think they're going to be set. So now that we're heading near the end of the show today, let's transition a little bit. I want to play a little game with you guys, and it's called Is It Garbage? So I'm going to give you a topic, and I want you to tell me if you think it's considered to be garbage or not.
All right.
So I want to first start with a very interesting scenario playing out in the NBA, a suspension on Timberwolves star Rudy Gobert. And I want to know, do you think that suspension is garbage? Was it deserved?
I'd have to say I think it's not garbage.
No,
I like the Timberwolves. I really do like the team, but I'm sorry for Gobert. I think it was not garbage. The rules are if you have 5 flagrant foul points, every flagrant foul point after that is a 1-game suspension. He had 6 going into the game. He got an altercation he was fighting for a rebound with Bagley the third.
Right.
He got him across the face, and anytime you get someone across the face, it's going to be a flagrant. So anytime he gets a flagrant from now on, it's a missed game. So I think it's not garbage. It's just what's going to happen to him.
Michael, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I do agree with Josh. Like he said, like at the time you're thinking, like you look at the suspension alone, like Gobert, does he deserve to be suspended for that? No. But like you said, he had 5 flagrant fouls. The question is, why are you committing that many flagrant fouls? But at the end of the day, like it looked like it was kind of a little bit over-excessive, hit him across the face. It is basketball, I do get that, but at the end of the day, like it is what it is. The NBA rules are there for a reason, and that was definitely a flagrant foul in my eyes.
Right, and that feels more like a letter of the rule versus the spirit of the rule kind of thing, where I think a lot of people in a vacuum just look at that and go, you're really suspending someone for that? There's a lot of players that have done more than that and not had that happen to them.
Exactly.
But I think you're definitely right, where it's one of those things you just have to enforce it anytime it comes up, even if you don't like it. That's one of those things that just, it's going to happen, and he's going to have to take the consequences. So next one, do you think the return of the tush push in the NFL is garbage or beneficial?
okay, you gotta look at this. For me, I'm looking at this at two different standpoints. Play on the field, no, I don't think it is because honestly, like as the NFL reported, there's no injuries, and plus, like it's a fair play. They're not breaking the rules.
Right.
But a reffing standpoint, I say yes because here's why. The tush push is so hard to officiate. It is very hard. Because, you know, you could look back and see, like, oh my gosh, look at the replay. Oh, they missed a false start there, false start this.
Right.
At the end of the day, when you're a ref and you're live officiating, you can't tell. And plus, like, how many times have, like, right or left tackles jumped false starts obvious and the refs don't call that?
Right.
There's been a lot.
Right.
So, honestly, in my opinion, it's a very hard play to ref. That's why the argument. But other than that, like, then you just got to learn to stop the play.
Yeah.
Be stronger.
Yeah, I actually never thought about it from the officiating perspective.
Nor did I.
Yeah, you can't see anything in there. So, also, I'm gonna have to say not garbage because at the end of the day, it's a football play. It's within the rules.
Yeah.
I mean, so why shouldn't teams use it? And
Right.
I think it's not the most fun play to watch as a fan,
It's
but
not,
it gets your team points the same as any other play if they are successful. So,
Yeah, I
or it
mean,
can.
I guess the kind of how the way the saying goes in a lot of contexts like this is what the best play is at any given moment purely matters on how much adaptation there is for the previous one. It is a constant game of adaptation. That's what a lot of sports are. Yeah. So I think teams are going to keep doing that until it stops working. Yeah. And unless you run into a circumstance where it truly cannot be stopped, I don't think it's that bad. And then I think maybe that is reasonable.
And plus the Eagles' percentages on that like went down.
Yeah, they did. Exactly right. So one more is it garbage question for you guys in the MLB. Was signing Pat Murphy to a 3-year extension managing garbage?
I don't think it was garbage. I
No?
mean, he's proven he's a winner and that he can win consistently. I mean, he led the Brewers to back-to-back division titles. He won Manager of the Year both of his 2 first years as manager. And I mean, he set the franchise win record with 97 wins. So I think it'd be garbage to give him anything but an extension.
Heck no, it's not. Honestly, 3 years is a little to me. I thought he probably should have got a 7 or 8 year extension.
Oh, I don't know if I go that far, but I mean, I just feel like that's way too much to be betting on a manager when I don't even know how much of that team's success was really him. I really can't tell. And maybe they know more inside the organization, but I'm going to be completely honest. The Brewers just seem like an odd miracle team for me every single year, regardless of the manager. I don't know how they do it. I really don't understand how they do it.
Maybe it's because of good organizational structure and coaching.
There you go.
I don't disagree with that. I do not disagree with that, but every single time you look at that team on paper, they do things that they really should not be doing in execution.
And why do you think
ends
that
up
is?
that way? I don't think it's the manager is my one singular point to that. So if it's like sign him for 8 years, I'm like, I just don't see the point because you've had that happen with any manager you put in that spot. So I really don't know what about that is him versus the players.
Sure. I mean, didn't the Brewers win the division title the year before he got there too?
Yeah, that was with Council. He was the bench coach though. He was the bench coach.
They've been winning it a
He was there,
lot
yeah.
though. You know, it's just they've been rarely missing a year, and I don't know what the common factor is.
Yeah, maybe seven would be crazy, but I think 3 after 2 successful,
it's
after 2
reasonable.
seasons that
Yeah.
successful, I think 3 is a good, deserving. You know, he deserves that at least.
Yeah, I think that's a more reasonable take. So I'm not saying it's a garbage extension by any means, but I definitely do question some people that think he's a miracle worker because I'm just not entirely sold on what his specific impact toward the actual result is. And they say that you win, like 3 to 4 games a year on your manager. Most of it is going to be your players. Did they get 3 to 4 more because of him? We'll never know. But it's definitely just a question that's kind of in the air, and we'll find out in due time, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, with that said, we will go on to our final segment of the day, the garbage play of the week. What is the dumbest thing in sports that you have to vent about?
So I have to vent about the new 2026 regulations and Formula One.
Really?
At least from what we've seen so far.
Okay.
It's too early to know for sure. We haven't seen them in racing and battle.
Yeah.
But after preseason testing 1 and 2 in Bahrain, we're seeing some things that we should not be seeing. I mean,
Like what?
The engines are 50% electric now, so they have to change the way they drive to recharge these batteries mid race.
Oh.
And we've seen clips of drivers' battery running out before they're halfway down a straight. Which, I mean, you're having a downshift middle of a straight, you can't do that. So so far these regulations are looking like they're not good for racing, not good for Formula One and the progression of it. But until we see them go racing for the first time March 8th in In Melbourne, we won't know for sure, but right now it's looking like that's
that's not the most promising thing in the world. I can't say that I knew too much about it heading into it. I know F1's been on the rise constantly. I do have to question if that kind of issue is going to cause any issues with viewer retention. If the race's quality get worse, are they going to suffer for that?
Yeah, that's the worry. One of the main things they were pushing when they were introducing these regulations is that it'll improve racing,
right?
And encourage more overtakes because they also made the cars smaller and and thinner, so they're easier to overtake and battle. But these engines might stop the progression of that battling and racing.
Right.
So, but once again, until we see them for sure, in Melbourne for the first time, we won't know. But I did see a clip of someone trying to overtake and they had to bail out because their battery ran out in a practice overtake.
That
in
defeats
testing.
the point.
So there's some worrying things I'm seeing, but we'll know for sure in a couple weeks here.
Yeah, I mean, you'll know in a little bit of time. That kind of seems antithetical to the whole point of creating that in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, did they anticipate that at all? I really have to question what the logic was on that.
They've been simulating these regulations since 2023, and they've had drivers simulating them, and I mean, there's nothing but bad feedback from the drivers since those sims started.
For 3 years?
Yeah. So, and I mean, they took that feedback, and it's still nothing but bad feedback from all the drivers so far after testing. The likes of what, Lewis Hamilton,
right?
Max Verstappen, two of the greatest to ever do it.
I've heard
are saying it's not fun to drive and. We're slower than F2. If two of the greatest,
I didn't even know there was an F2.
If two of the greatest that have ever touched the sport are saying it's not fun to drive, and saying it's too complicated, and the fans won't get it, then I mean, if those two are saying it, I'm worried that it's probably true.
There's something that if we learn about American sports, if you're like the best players in your sport are saying something about it, it's an issue.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. That's exactly right. So yeah, I'm very curious to see how those alarm bells ringing will play out. And I'm definitely looking forward to maybe talking about that in the future as that season starts and seeing what maybe plays out with all of those things. And hopefully F1 will be all right. But
yeah, hopefully.
I don't know. We will find out.
We're gonna find out.
We will find out in due time. So I don't know. We'll see. It'll be very interesting.
Oh yeah.
So thank you, team. But we are out of time for today. Stay tuned to UWW TV for more garbage next week. For Michael Hernan and Josh Kirore, I'm Luke Lamort, and this has been Garbage Time on UWW TV.